Hello! In the next few minutes I will introduce you to two things. The first is a software program called StratiScape. The second is the concept of high visual resolution. To begin, StratiScape, which you can see on the screen behind me, is the missing link in exploration. We already have exploration related programs that do almost everything except for the one thing that is universal to any seismic interpretation workflow. What we do not have, and what StratiScape brings to the table, is a way to look at seismic in its natural three-dimensional form. So when you think about it, seismic naturally forms a three-dimensional surface with seismic amplitudes forming the terrain. This is what that surface looks like, and if seismic were invented today, this is what all seismic would look like. StratiScape introduces the concept of high visual resolution displays. It does other things as well, as I'll show you in subsequent videos, but its primary purpose is seismic visualization, and in this it is unique. It has no competition. So what is a high visual resolution display? To explain that, let me first go over conventional seismic displays and explain why they should be classified as low visual resolution or LVR seismic displays. This is the familiar wiggle trace display. It dates originally to the origins of exploration seismology itself, but it's been around in this form since the early 1960s, making it over 60 years old. We use it when we want to examine character and waveform, but when we use it, we lose most of the amplitude information in the seismic, along with all but the most obvious faults and steeply dipping events. This is a grayscale display, and it dates back to Amoco in the mid-1960s. We use it in structural settings when we're interested in faults and complex structures. But in using it, we lose all sense of character and waveform, and we lose all but the most obvious amplitude details. And this, of course, is the very familiar variable density display. It dates back to late 1979, and I should know, because I produced it. It does give us a better sense of amplitude, but when you think about it, it's little more than a smoothed square wave display, and again, it wipes out character and all but the most obvious faults. These three displays, as familiar as they all are low visual resolution displays because they all filter out massive amounts of much needed information. The information is still in the seismic, but it never makes it through the display to the viewer. As a result, most of the information contained within a seismic section never contributes to an interpretation because it's filtered away by the display. What we have needed for decades is a single display that puts it all together. A display that shows every subtle amplitude variation, one that clearly delineates even the subtlest of faults, and one that elevates character and waveform analysis to a new level. That is what StratiScape does by using virtual reality technology to render seismic in its true three-dimensional form. This is a StratiScape display. Technically, it is a highly interpolated 3D surface with seismic amplitudes forming the terrain. I call it a high visual resolution display, or an HVR display for short, because it does not filter out anything, and when you look at one, you can be virtually assured that if the information you're looking for is not in the display, then it's not in the seismic data at all. In a nutshell, that is what StratiScape and high visual resolution are all about. I will go into everything I've said here in much more detail in subsequent videos. For now, just remember this: low visual resolution, incredibly low visual resolution, high visual resolution. It's that simple. Thank you for watching.